Jumbo Jack closes. I'm Abby Black. San Diego-based Jack in the Box announces closures.
A Customs and Border Protection helicopter makes some impressive and risky maneuvers trying to arrest some illegal crossers on Otay Mountain.
When you combine the incredible capabilities of these assets, you get what my crew and I call a cartel's worst nightmare.
Nearly 20,000 pounds of cocaine confiscated at sea is offloaded here in San Diego.
Sandag looking at options to relocate the train tracks in Del Mar, some involving tunnels under homes. I'll have reaction.
This is an unprecedented event.
Rescue crews are racing to respond as more sea animals are poisoned by an ongoing toxic algae bloom.
More than 80 years after dying in World War II, an unknown soldier is finally identified and coming home.
CBS 8 News Live at 6 starts right now.
I love Jack in the Box, so I hope that it doesn't close.
Super easy to get, cheap, and it tastes pretty good too.
We begin tonight with San Diego-based Jack in the Box, which announced today that it will be closing 200 stores nationwide. Good evening, and thank you for joining us. I'm Carlo Cicchetto.
I'm Shannon Handy, in tonight for Marcella Lee. The fast food chain says it needs to dig itself out of a $300 million hole. CBS 8's Abby Black is live in Kearny Mesa with more on how customers are reacting to the news. Hi, Abby.
Hey, Shannon. Now, Jack in the Box declined to provide additional details outside of its news release, so we don't know which locations will close. But Shannon, as you can imagine, fans are just hoping that the home of their Jack in the Box will stay open. Jack in the Box's famous Jumbo Jack, the late night munchie box, breakfast all day, or their new Smash Jack. What's your favorite?
Late night, I gotta give me some tacos, but I'm gonna go with the spicy chicken sandwich.
The extreme sausage, I gotta say. Quite a fan.
The fast food favorite first opened in 1951 in San Diego on El Cajon Boulevard. Today, with 2,200 stores nationwide, the new CEO just announced the company will close 200 locations. I spoke with customers at the drive-thru about the news.
I know it's a San Diego local, amazing establishment, so it sucks to hear that, but I hope this one right here in Claremont stays open because I've been using that one forever.
That's right. The late night drive-thru is closing 10% of its stores.
I'm a big fan of Jack in the Box.
During a Jack on Track business update, new CEO Lance Tucker did not reveal which locations would close.
I'm going to give some of this detail in August when we have, exactly the number of stores and exactly which stores they are identified. So I believe we will be able to give you a pretty good feel for what that looks like at that point, but I'm not prepared to do so today.
By year's end, they plan to close 80 to 100 underperforming stores, and Del Taco's future is uncertain.
This is perfect. I discovered it a couple of years ago, and I love it.
We caught up with Jane, who bought 3 Del Taco meals for just $9.99.
This is breakfast, lunch, and dinner. I can't afford McDonald's, I'll be honest.
Jack in the Box purchased Del Taco 3 years ago and is now exploring a potential sale of its 600 stores across 17 states. Jack in the Box's second quarter sales are down 4.4%, Del Taco down 3.5%. The company hopes closures and property sales will generate $300 million. Fans worry this could be the end of an era.
Iconic, yeah. The Super Bowl ads, the commercial, it's everywhere. It's sad to hear that a company like this has got to close 200 stores. It's kind of telling to what's going on greater, in the world right now.
The first round of closures, which is projected to be about 80 to 100 stores, will close by the end of this year, with a total of 200 locations closing in the next 18 months. Shannon?
Sad news for many, Abby. Now, other than Taco Bell, a lot of fast food chains have announced financial struggles. So how does Jack in the Box plan to compete?
CEO says that many of its financial struggles actually stemmed from some of its IT troubles, so they hope to improve that. But then the head of marketing also was on that call, and he mentioned that they're working to rebrand its Munchie Meal. So we'll just have to wait and see, but they say do not worry that their Smash Jack will stay on the menu. It's been a huge success. Carlo?
Thanks, Abby. The onion rings, that's me. Fire officials say we're a little more than 2 months away from peak wildfire season here in California. And today, Governor Gavin Newsom joined Cal Fire leaders to announce the state has added a second C-130 Hercules aircraft to what he calls the world's largest aerial firefighting force.
Not another state in the country that can lay claim to a moment like this. There's not another state in the country that is as resourced as the state of California is as it relates to its aerial fighting fleet.
Last year, California became the first state in the nation to own, operate, and deploy a C-130H air tanker for wildfire suppression. The governor says California is also investing in Nighthawk helicopters and new technology for them, specifically night vision capabilities. He adds the state has also started to deploy hundreds of new AI-equipped cameras across the state to help with early suppression and prediction, something UC San Diego helped out with. Border Patrol agents arrested 4 migrants this morning on Otay Mountain near the border. A Customs and Border Protection helicopter assisted in the operation and performed maneuvers that we're not used to seeing. As CBS 8's David Goffredson reports, the chopper had to fly low and near power lines to keep an eye on those border crossers.
A Customs and Border Protection helicopter hovers over a canyon at 7:30 in the morning Thursday near the George Bailey Detention Center, responding to reports of up to 5 migrants who crossed the border through the Otay Mountain wilderness. The chopper can be seen flying close to power lines strung across the mountain.
They're definitely cognizant of the wires. It's quite common for helicopter pilots of great skill to work around wires.
Mark Miller is a former Marine Corps helicopter pilot and professor at Embry-Riddle Aeronautical University in Hawaii. He took a look at the video of the chopper showing the CBP pilot flying low through canyons, keeping an eye on the immigrants while ground forces moved in.
That's the beauty of using a helicopter for some type of operation like this. It has a lot of benefits. You can pop down very low, then you can go to way up high real quickly to get a scan of another area.
The helicopter makes some impressive maneuvers considering the power lines and the mountainous terrain. But the question is, are those moves risky?
Everything in this type of operation has some amount of risk that goes with it. However, if you put the right skilled people with the proper training in place, missions like this can become just routine, and there's nothing dangerous about them.
4 migrants, all of them Mexican citizens, ended up surrendering to Border Patrol agents at the scene. It's unclear whether they are claiming asylum or what will happen next. I reached out to Customs and Border Protection asking where those immigrants were transported and what happens next to them, but I did not get a response. On Otay Mountain, David Goffredson, CBS 8.
We are getting a closer look at recent drug busts made by the U.S. Coast Guard at sea. The agency offloaded nearly 20,000 pounds of pure cocaine in San Diego today. Crews confiscated the drugs between February and this month in 6 separate seizures off the coast of Mexico and Central and South America. Coast Guard officials say today's offload represents more than just taking drugs out of criminals' hands.
It underscores our tireless efforts of my crew and our partners in safeguarding our nation's maritime borders and disrupting the flow of dangerous drugs that fuel violence and despair in our communities.
Coast Guard officials estimate the drugs offloaded today are worth about $215 million. Police in El Cajon are investigating a deadly shooting that forced nearby schools to go into a temporary lockdown today. The shooting was reported just after 10 a.m. on North 1st Street near East Madison Avenue. The man who was shot was taken to a hospital where he later died. Police say he and the gunman knew each other but did not release their names. Investigators believe it was an isolated incident and not connected to any of these schools. Anyone with information should call El Cajon Police.
Right now, the search continues for a driver after a bizarre and dangerous crash overnight in La Mesa. The car went airborne and crashed onto the roof of a home before landing inside an RV. This is wild. As you can imagine, the commotion was a rude awakening for the family in the home. This all happened around 12:30 this morning on Pasadena Avenue. Police tell CBS 8 the driver was coming from the Spring Street direction. Fortunately, no one was hurt inside the home. The homeowners did try to check on the driver. By the time they got there, the driver was gone. The people who live in that home say similar crashes have occurred in the area before. They think it is a dangerous stretch of road. Big changes could be coming to Del Mar, where officials are now weighing new plans to move train tracks off a crumbling bluff. Some of the options involve tunneling beneath the city.
But as CBS 8's Brian White reports, some people are worried their homes could be in the path of progress.
For years, these coastal train tracks have clung to the edge of the Del Mar Bluffs, a route both beautiful and dangerous.
The train is on the cliff right now, and it has to be moved. Otherwise, it's going to fall into the ocean.
The regional planning agency Sandag is now weighing several options to relocate the tracks inland, some that would send trains underground through a tunnel beneath the city and potentially beneath homes.
There's about 35 to 50 different homes that are going to fall into the category of eminent domain, which is a fancy word of tearing down their homes. So when you look up on this hillside, those homes are gone.
Jim Benedict lives near the tracks. He and others fear they could lose everything. I reached out to Sandag. A spokesperson told me it's too early in the planning process to know which properties could be affected.
Sandag is very reluctant to give us this kind of information because instead of one person being noisy, you're going to have 35 to 50 homeowners that are going to be outraged.
They've come up with 3 alternative routes, all involving tunnels. One is beneath the main road, Camino del Mar. Another runs under the city's Crest Canyon area, both routes near homes. The third runs along the edge of the San Dieguito Lagoon, with a tunnel running alongside the I-5 freeway. Cost estimates for all 3 range between $2 and $5 billion.
The bluff stabilization going on right now is a relatively small $80 million in order to keep it all in place safely. But this can't go on forever.
Del Mar Mayor Terry Gasterland, also a Sandag board member, says a lot of things need to be considered, like the geology underground.
I myself personally am convinced that those environmentals are going to eliminate the tunnels that go underneath people's homes.
For now, the trains keep rolling across the bluff. Environmental review for the alternatives should take about 3 years. In Del Mar, Brian White, CBS 8.
If you don't have any weekend plans, we've got you covered.
San Diego Padres are making their CBS 8 debut this Saturday, taking on the Tampa Bay Rays. The game starts, actually the broadcast starts at 5:15, but you can join us for a special pregame edition of CBS 8 Live at 4:30 and another special edition right afterward. Saturday Night Baseball on CBS 8.
Why didn't it say in there that there is a special pitcher that's going to be at that game?
Because we don't want to put any extra pressure on me for that first pitch. I get to throw out the first pitch. I'm very excited and very nervous.
You will do great. I saw him practicing in the parking lot yesterday.
Okay, we'll see.
You're going to do fine.
We'll see.
So everyone should watch.
San Diego Pride announces the headliners for this year's festival.
Those details are still ahead. Plus, we hear from a U.S. citizen who says the government sent them a notice asking them to leave the country.
And later, what wildlife experts believe may be causing a toxic algae bloom that's sickening sea animals all along California's coast.
And it was a beautiful, sunny, warm day today, but tomorrow clouds and rain move in. The weekend forecast is coming up next.